Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Forget Me Not Streamcast. I'm Brian, your host, along with the founder, CEO, and brainchild and massive unrelenting energy force behind Forget Me Not Village, Pam Spetta. And here we are once again with another Streamcast to tell you more about what's happening with Forget Me Not Village, because there's always something happening with Pam Spetta and Forget Me Not Village. Before we dive in, though, I want to remind everybody watching that if you have any questions, if you have any comments, just put them in the chat at both Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see them and we can put them up on the screen and answer your questions toward the end of our conversation. And we will look forward to doing that. But Pam, how you doing? It's September.
The time I know. Where did the year go? My goodness. I don't know. One day it was January 1st and you're looking forward to the summer and doing everything. And now it's September something. It's like, oh my goodness, where's it going? It's too fast.
Yeah. Too fast. So what's new in your world since the last time we talked a couple weeks ago?
Oh my gosh.
By the way, was the Rocksteady boxing episode not your favorite one we've done?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was just exciting. It was exciting to watch them. And believe it or not, they're calling me, when are we going to box again? We actually started the classes Tuesday night at 6:00. And God, we had so much fun. I ordered more equipment and things for the gym, and that'll be here in a couple of days. Tonight at 6:00, we're going to be boxing again. So if someone wants to just drop over and take a look and see what it's all about, you're more than welcome to do that. We've already had doctors writing prescriptions for it. So it's either paid by the state or it's free. It's for insurance purposes. So, I mean, it's just amazing. This thing isn't even really, it's just beginning to up and run, and it's just been overwhelming interest and approval. It's just crazy. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. It's wonderful. Yeah.
So we started out always talking about the bigger home, almost like ranch situation on Highway 99. That is still in the works. Of course, you're always looking for support for that. But in the meantime, tell everybody about what's developed a little bit closer to town in Roseburg for the place that you are working on right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing home. It's right across from the airport. It's Greg Kovach's home, what he used to have, his home. And now it's like a mini village. And we have got the gym on the premises. We've got an in-ground pool for water aerobics. We're going to be teaching healing Qigong. We're going to have a massage therapist office here. So you can have a massage, jump in the pool, do some gym work, that whole 9 yards. And the house is getting prepared for the first 2 families to move in that are dealing with dementia. So we're right in the middle of all that construction and stuff going on, and all the challenges with everybody being busy and COVID and all this other kind of good stuff. But we're moving along. We actually got Home Depot to donate all the flooring. They gave us the top quality stuff that they have for us to put on the floor, 100% waterproof. I'm just astounded at the the way this community comes together behind people is truly, truly, truly amazing. So yeah. I can't say enough. I can't say enough. Of course, we need more money because, we got to build a bathroom and a half a bath and, all this other kind of good stuff to bring it up to where we need to be comfortable with for teaching, because I will teach dementia classes there, Teepa Snow's classes. And we'll have other arts and crafts and things in there. We'll have things for guys to do, playing poker and all kinds of stuff for them to do too. So, yeah, it's coming along, and it's coming along really well. I'm really pleased for sure.
Well, we'll have a guest here in a few minutes, but talk about the urgency that you feel to put together a place where people can get dementia care in the way that you feel is the best way to deliver it.
I don't think people can say they understand what it's like to be a caregiver, but you know what? I did too until I was in those shoes. And then I realized I didn't even have a clue. I had no idea how hard it is to care for someone that needs 24/7 care. Really, right by your side kind of care. It is financially devastating. It is emotionally and physically devastating. And I swore that as long as I can breathe, I'm going to prevent that from happening to anybody else. If nothing else, the information is out there on how to take care of someone, working together as a community, working with one another, supporting each other during a time when you really, really need it. The only analogy I can use is if your loved one was diagnosed with terminal cancer, would you take that person and just stick him in a home and walk away? No, you would try and care for them at home, which is what so many families do, is they try to care for them at home, but they don't have the tools they need. They don't either have the right information about what's available, what's actually happening, going on with the brain. And most of all, their home is usually pretty impossible to make totally dementia safe. So this home is constructed to be that, with enough alarms and security cameras, and it's all one floor and handicap bathrooms and the whole 9 yards, so that you don't have to sit by them 24/7 because you're afraid they're going to fall down the stairs, or they're afraid they're going to, you know, get into something. Like, I remember one time I left Rich downstairs for just a minute, and he grabbed a screwdriver and he was on his way to the electrical outlet to do something. And of course, all I could think of was he's going to put the screwdriver in the electrical outlet and then we'd have a problem. Then I was able to stop that, thank goodness. But that's the kind of attention you need. So what I would always hear is, go, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. Well, yeah, I know that's possible to take care of yourself, but is it possible? Can I sit in a bathtub full of bubbles with my husband walking around doing whatever, trying to get out or peeing through the window or whatever? To me, it was impossible. You couldn't do it. And if he's sleeping, you need to sleep, because for 2.5 years, I did not get a full night's sleep for 2.5 years, and it literally physically just destroyed me. So this home makes it possible for the caregiver to get the rest, have the opportunity to have friends and do things together. It's all about family. So family working together, family swimming in the pool together, family boxing together, family having other activities together. It's all about that. So you can bring the grandkids in, and through experience and talk and explanation, get them to understand what's going on with the dementia and not be afraid of it, to turn it into a wonderful experience and not one that's totally disastrous financially and the whole 9 yards. That's the goal.
Very well said. And you can see that vision and find out more about what Pam's talking about at forgetmenotVillage.org. You'll learn more about just exactly what is driving Pam to try and find this kind of help for other people in the community. Not surprisingly, as she mentioned, it's very close to her with the story of she and her husband, Rich, who went through this whole entire process all the way to the end. And now Pam is fighting to try to help other people to avoid that situation she found herself in. So you can certainly go online and find more at forgetmenotVillage.org. And you can also find Forget Me Not Village on YouTube as well. Today's guest is somebody who has done what you've talked about, and that is building a home, a facility. She can obviously, and you can describe it better than I can. Why don't you introduce today's guest?
Well, the guest today is Debbie Savage. She has been a friend of mine for a long time. And she, she has a website, Coping Today, and she's phenomenal at what she's done for her community. And her community down there in Florida, as we just talked about, was about 140,000 people, and we're at 100. So we're pretty much the same kind of community. But what she's done is because she was a caregiver for her husband, she knows exactly what I'm talking about, but she has put her life and commitment into action and bringing a community together of seniors that understand the disease, that work together. But the biggest thing she's been able to accomplish, and my stumbling block right here, is putting faith back into this whole calculation. And I want her to talk today about that, how she was able to do that. And the reason why, and Debbie and I have talked about this at length, when someone gets dementia, you go through the same type of steps as if you had lost a loved one, which is all the grieving steps. And because I work very closely with families and I go into their homes, most of the time what I hear is, why did the Lord let this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this to happen to me? And what happens then is that when you close off, um, when you close off belief, when you close off faith, when you get to that stage of the grief, which comes really pretty early, and you have no one to turn to, then what happens is you begin to lose faith, and that is part of the healing process. Is the belief um, that we have support, emotional. And it doesn't matter which faith you're in. It doesn't matter. And Debbie and I've talked about that too. It's that feeling of the security, the feeling of camaraderie between people that are going through the same thing. Um, and yes, I did ask the same question myself. And when the point came to where I couldn't take him to church anymore because they didn't understand that one of the stages of dementia, they can get kind of nasty mouth because that's all they know how to do. And you stop going to church, you stop going out into public, and that is very, very harmful to you socially and psychologically and the whole nine yards. So I am trying very hard to get the churches in town to understand we need what's called dementia sermons. We need a dementia community in our churches to reach out to their members and let them know that they have support, that let them know, yes, we understand there may be, problems with speech, or they may say things that are not, appropriate for sure. That you have that support. It's this working together that's the secret. So I've asked Debbie to come on today to talk to me about how she took a county of 140,000 people and turned them into a dementia-friendly community in a lot of respects, not just church. So, and she lives in Florida. We talked about the weather, how nice it is up here compared to there. Even though I often say, "How's your day going?" and I say, "I'm swimming with the alligators," and then I think of Debbie.
Actually, we really are.
The alligators.
We really are. Well, thanks, Pam, for having me on the show. And there's so many things that you said in the beginning of creating an environment that's safe for a person living with dementia, but also for their caregiver. Sometimes, like you said, their own environment isn't conducive to what they're going through. It makes it a lot harder. Having a different option for care is huge. I, like you with Albert, did not find that option. He was misunderstood. He was labeled. He was medicated. And because of his type of dementia, he didn't have language skills from very early. So when he did get frustrated or I couldn't figure out what was going on, the F word came out quite frequently. So that changes how people want to be around you. But I think what we have found when we started coping with dementia, I think we wanted to change the health community because of the experience that I had. But we soon found out that there was a much bigger voice with caregivers. And with caregivers, they were wanting the same options that we were looking for. How do I keep them social? How do I keep them in the community? Well, then we started filtering into businesses and community churches. And it has been overwhelming that we have probably 30 to 40 certified churches. And they'll sit through a 2-hour workshop, and we will have the person living with dementia there. And I want to tell you a really wonderful story about one of the workshops we were doing in a church. And they brought in a woman that was very, very far in the journey. And it was an evening workshop on top of everything else. And she was not really wanting to be there, but there was 2 other people with her caregiver and a professional caregiver. And she saw the door, wanted to go to the door. Now, no one in the front of the church could see what was going on, but all the administration from the church could see it because they were in the back. And Ed and I looked at each other and I said, I wonder if Annie could help us out with this. And Annie is an animatronic cat. So Ed walked over to this person and she was really angry because she wanted to get to that door. And so he looked at her and she was ready to, and all of a sudden Annie meowed. And it took her focus away from my partner, Ed, and she looked right down at the cat.
Wow.
She was asked if she would be able to watch our cat for a while. We had no idea how this was going to work, but she took that cat and she was comforted and she stayed for more than 2 hours.
Wow. What's an animatronic cat?
Oh, I'll get it for you. It's in there, the cat. So it's an animatronic cat that is real-like. And so what she did is she actually sat there and she patted it. It meowed, it purred, it blinked its eyes, it rolled over, and she was comforted, not by medication, not by someone telling her to sit down, and she never distracted anybody. So what we were trying to show the folks is this is Annie.
Oh my goodness. Look at
and
that.
You see that her eyes will close. She is purring and she'll roll over. She looks like a cat. And you know that our folks with dementia have limited vision. So when we have limited vision and we're patting this and we can hear the purring, there was no disruption. She was able to be, which is probably one of the worst times for our folks, is 6:30 at night to 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But what we were trying to teach the community in whole in that church is that compassion, understanding, we can be successful in any type of situation. And so we go in and we gather either the members only, or the members would opt to, or the church. Now Annie is going to continue to meow and purr and all of this, but this is a way of other types of things that we try to teach our community, that you don't have to be afraid. So most of our churches will open it up to the community to let them see that they're dementia friendly. They're more dementia aware. And, when you talked about not being able to go to church, it is a huge loss for family, for caregivers. But what we also see is that they already have an outreach program. And what we don't want to see from coping with dementia is that we lose those people for being serviced, even if they are at home, because of some preconceived notion of what a person with dementia is going to do. And if they have to not be in a congregation and still have to maybe want that service, and they start to come to their home, they still should be able to receive and feel as comfortable as possible. And so should the service people that are coming there. So that's part of our education, to not be afraid of what that person is going to say. And if they understand that it is not to punish you or be mean to you, or it's personal to you, I think the community at large becomes a little bit more compassionate about that. And if a family member or a caregiver chooses to be more comfortable at home, then that's their choice. It's not the choice of the church. But the other thing, because we are getting older, I don't know about you, Pam, you might not be getting older yet, but a lot of us in our community are getting older. I told you, like 33% of our community is over 65. So the median age of their members is rising. And when they understand that not one person will leave their membership, but 2 or 3, because they can't bring their person, they really kind of understand that this is important. we want to be a resource in the community. So we try to show them how to create maybe a resource library, because that's still a safe environment for most people. And so maybe they would go there to look for some information. So we try to teach them, teach the congregations to create a library. It doesn't have to be just dementia, but if you just have things there for people to take, understand, read, be a resource. We also leave them with a handbook for dementia-friendly congregations so that they can do things other ways. You know, when you're talking about building Forget-Me-Not Village, that's another option for our folks living with dementia. It's a huge option. And a lot of people may be unsure about it because it's not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in most cases with congregations, the norm is that we have service at 10:30. This is what we do. This is the agenda. But we have to change it up a little bit if you want to make the other folks feel just as comfortable. So maybe a thought is that maybe we have a service that's dementia focused for 30 minutes prior to. And we focus on the music part of it. We focus on the hymns. And that maybe when we have created that environment for those folks, they may stay for the real service because they've been calmed, they've been accepted, and they may be able to stay. But we have to be creative. We don't need to exclude. We have to learn ways to include. And this is a really different, dementia has pushed all of the norms down the sewer pipe, because we have to think outside. As you were just saying, you were going to see the plumber before we came on. We have to do things differently. We have to think outside the box. And that's what Forget-Me-Not Village is. And it's exciting to see thinking outside the box and what it can do.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle, but it's just got to be done. It's just got to be done, and it's all part of the puzzle pieces. You know, your emotional, your physical, your psychological is all part of the puzzle pieces to get you through this particular problem. But as much as I've talked about, you know, getting a dementia friendly church, you said that you actually sent out those books to the churches. Did you just pick them out of the phone book?
What was amazing is we do have a nonprofit, and that's who published the books. And so we decided during COVID, as it was starting to, kind of lift a little bit, we got a grant and said that we would send out at least 150 books to congregations in our county. Well, we were really surprised that there was 150 congregations in our 140,000 population. And so we sent every congregation a church offering this free workshop, offering to become more dementia friendly. You know, when we have an understanding of what people struggle with or what we don't see, it is way more than just memory. And you may not see something that would alert you that this person is struggling, like it is with an oxygen or a wheelchair or a walker. You might see a person that looks perfectly well put together, walking in, but saying inappropriate things or disrupting the service. Those are the things that we want to change. To have, maybe as we talk about most of the time in TEPA's training, as I am certified through her too, let's not respond and react. Let's learn how to respond correctly. And then we make a difference. So making a preconceived or an assumption that what that person did over there was inappropriate, maybe we find out what is problematic.
Yeah. Well, and the numbers, the numbers are increasing exponentially.
It's incredible.
It's awful. And it's just like, why haven't we done something about this before? Why isn't there more information? I mean, that's the thing I hear a lot, where do I find information? And it's just like there's
There's so many levels and degrees. I talked with someone yesterday and she's looking for help in. And that's what the Forget Me Not Village is going to be different about, is that we're all going to work together to achieve what we all want, which is help in, which
Yes.
is help for me to get away. And this one person was telling me that all the things that are wrong with her husband, she can't just have a regular home health company come in. She needs more of a nursing skilled type of care. And as you know, that is probably sometimes out of reach for most caregivers. When we are talking about $35 in our area an hour, that's almost out of reach. So when I was talking with her, she's already 10 years in with different ailments now plus dementia. And she knows that there may not be other options but her.
Yeah.
That's an awful feeling to know. And so there again, we go back to a caregiver that was asked to leave a service who they have been going to for 40 years because they didn't understand why her husband was acting the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
I told her to call, talk to them about it, use it as an education. They decided to accommodate. They had him in the back, and then she chose not to come back. But it's still not the right answer to any of it.
Yeah, and that I think is a huge problem, because what happens when you can't go and you feel like you've been betrayed or by the congregation who hasn't supported you, hasn't called you, or whatever, what gives you the impetus to go back to church once they died? Because they've already failed you.
Correct.
They've already done that. So if you're not going to go back to church, and now we're talking about 1 out of every 3 people either are directly involved or know somebody personally involved, what is that going to do to your congregation if you don't look at this area and support them through the process, so that when they do pass away, you keep on going instead of just stopping because you weren't there when I needed you, but yet you want my offering, you want my support, but yet you weren't there when I needed you most, when my faith was challenged, when this is probably, and I often say, when my daughter died, I thought that was the worst pain in the world you could possibly imagine. But when you watch someone that you've been married to, that's been your life partner for 40 years, 25 years, whatever it is, slowly slip away, and that there are times when they understand. Like, I'll never forget, probably within months before he died, he said to me, he looked at me and said, "I'm not going to make it this time." I had to that is, it's hard to see someone you love suffer like that.
Right.
And without support from anyone that understands it, and I told my pastor that. I said, didn't you see that I hadn't been in church for a year and a half? He goes, yeah. He said, I kind of wondered about that. I said, but you know what? You never called. You never came to see me except on the day he died. And then he prayed for Rich. But through that whole time, no support at all. And he goes, well,
and the thing that they're not getting, and what we try to understand, there's so many components of dementia friendly environment in our congregations. There's so many components that are what is still working for a person living with dementia: the rhythm, the hymns, the music. When you place a person in a scan and you put music on, every part of their brain lights up. Everybody wants to talk about doing crossword puzzles or doing Sudoku. I have caregivers that say at 3:30 in the afternoon, they put music on and this is their dance time, and they dance because music brings him back or her back.
Right.
It brings them back to a place where either they can communicate and have some verbal skills that they didn't have before. They can move to the rhythm and dance, and they might be struggling walking. that makes and allows that caregiver first to see that there is a person in there still. He's in there or she is in there.
Yeah.
Or for the person that's going through this and living with dementia, I feel normal for about an hour.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's better than nothing, for
That's
sure.
better
But,
than nothing.
a lot of people don't realize, but prayer and music really
Mhm.
never go away. They have
Mhm.
that until they die. And
So
they
these
know
are all components of the churches in
Yeah.
every aspect. And another thing that we don't look at is what I've told some of our churches is don't forget the youth, because that intergenerational component is really important. Youth can connect. And if a person starts to act up, we have concessions or we have rooms where we can place those youths or those toddlers. But what about something that was combined? That if a person with dementia is starting to feel uneasy, I know that they have fellowship afterwards. That means sweets, that means food, that means cookies. That's all you need to persuade a person to calm down. I might just need something to drink, or I'm sure a cookie would work. There is so many ways of allowing that caregiver to get what they need to continue on with this journey. And if we look at this in a way of supporting the caregiver, supporting a community resident, and it will also continue to support your church, it will also be the best advertising you can have afterwards too.
Yeah. So, for all of you people sitting out there listening to this, go to your minister, go to your pastor, go to your church, and tell them this is something I can do. I am a certified trainer and
Right.
been through this whole thing. I can do the same thing Debbie can do,
Mhm.
and I will do whatever I have to do to keep people from having to go through what I went through, because it nearly killed me, for one,
Mhm.
physically and emotionally. It certainly put my faith into question as to how that plays in all of this, until finally, it became evident that in my case, um, going through what I went through made me a better teacher, gave me the ability to go out and help others, just like you, Debbie. If it hadn't happened to you, you wouldn't be
Yeah.
doing what you're doing.
Right.
So
And I really find that there is a real compassionate side to folks if they understand, if they know.
yeah,
Um, and I think that it's not about the one day events. This is a long journey to educate on a disease that not even our own caregivers really know much of.
exactly.
So if
Yeah,
our own caregivers standing right here in the journey have some questions, you know that the community does. And you also know that it doesn't matter how many times you go through it with different people, it's different with everyone. Rich, Albert, Joseph, Sam, Mary, it doesn't matter. It is about adapting to who they are. It took a long time for me to get someone to understand in the health industry about Albert. But they were the first people that actually asked me, who is he? So,
wow.
what we try to do in our workshops and even in my support groups, it is not just Pam and your husband. And Pam, your husband's name is Rich.
Yeah,
So I really embed their name. And when
mm,
I speak at these workshops, I talk about Albert, not because I want you to know my story, but I want you to know that he was a real person. He just
that
was living with dementia.
that's
So, how
beautiful.
we can help them and how you can help the area is being that resource and allowing people to understand, how do I get these resources? You didn't just you came up with the name of the Forget Me Not Village, but that was the easy part.
Yeah, this is real.
And you've had to struggle to find the right people, the right resources, the right finances, the right everything to make this happen. The same thing is happening here with us or with anybody. You have to really be the foots on the ground and be that resource to them. I had a lady, years ago that I was sitting in a bank with my partner Ed, and her daughter was next to me, and I could hear her leaning over, going, "I think that's the dementia lady."
Oh,
And I had my name tag on, and the daughter looked at me, and the mother looked over, and she says, "I think it is the dementia lady." And I said, "Excuse me, my name is Debbie Salsavage." She said, "It is the dementia lady." So if that's my call to fame, is the dementia lady, that's okay. If they call me because they have a problem or they can't find the resources, I'll be the dementia lady.
yay, that's great. That's great. Wow. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me. I'm sure we are going to be talking even more.
Sure.
But I am passionate about this thing getting out there, the information. You know that. And this is something I truly believe has to happen. I hear it too many times for this not to happen, and it is just one of the stages of grief that everyone goes through that loves someone with dementia. So,
well, there's so many stages of grief. We don't need to add this one too.
yeah.
And there's so many stages of having to do things alone. The last thing that they need to do is really feel alone.
There you go. Perfect.
And this is we want to be that resource. There are days where when the phone rings early on, I'm not too, but there's days where I kind of say, "Why isn't the phone ringing?" So we're never happy. But needing to be that resource and using in all aspects our experiences as educational tools to, I know that somebody asked me one time, "Do you ever get tired of talking about dementia every day?" No. It's so important. It is so real. And it is so, like you said, devastating to the families that we've seen, as you know, in our training, that 4 out of 5 families will fracture. That's a huge amount of loss, along with your partner.
Yeah.
So it is definitely another component of what needs to be addressed in all around dementia care. All around dementia care. It's needed. It's their right. And it is part of our community to understand that their community or residents are in trouble.
Perfect. Gosh, thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you so
sure
much.
I'll have you on again in the future for sure.
Yeah, it'll be from your home.
Yeah, when I'm not having to, my little home. Yeah.
So thank you.
Before we let you go, I wanted people to see your website. This is coping.today. And I thought that the services page was pretty good because you have a lot of classes, you have a lot of information, and a monthly newsletter even. And so if people wanted to, they could get some information from you as well. And there you go. There's coping.today.
And we're all learning, like Pam said, we're all learning where those resources are. So that keeps changing, and we learn from the caregivers. So it's really great to be out in the community having that talk.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And thank you for your time today.
I enjoyed it. Glad to be on, and look forward to all the changes in the next few months of Forget Me Not Village. And it's really exciting to see something so groundbreaking for dementia care, because as you know, as we've experienced, it's so individualized and we cannot institutionalize in an industrial way. It has to be done differently. To be done differently. We don't have enough skilled care staff when we want to mass produce everybody doing the same thing.
That's true. That's true.
So thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you for sure.
Okay.
Well, another chance to talk to another person who's been kind of down the road that I don't know, is she ahead of you in the path? Are you trying, or are you somehow ahead of Debbie? What do you think, Pam?
No, Debbie's actually been at this longer than I have. And I met her at a Teepa Snow conference in North Carolina or South Carolina over there. And she was telling me her story and what she's done. And she's just an amazing woman. She's every bit as dedicated as I am. And, first thing I said was, my goodness, the words you're saying are the same words that I've been saying. So we developed a really good friendship and, working to help each other. So, yeah, she's been at this game a lot longer than I have. And as far as husband passing and doing what she's doing, and I highly respect everything she's done. She's truly amazing. Her website is awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I thought if we could share her site, we probably ought to share our site here, forgetmenotVillage.org, telling more about what's happening here. Because, every time we open up another Streamcast and start talking, we get comments from people like, wait, are you talking about Roseburg for this?
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, that's actually what's happening. So there's a little glimpse there at Forget Me Not Village. Certainly we want to send people over there as well. So great conversation there, and kind of a serious matter right there. But this is just another example of the kinds of tools and resources that you have at your fingertips that can help in a variety of ways. And so we're obviously hoping that people will share this link, share it, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, let other people know about what's happening around Forget Me Not Village and the work that Pam is doing, because more and more people are having dementia come into their lives. And, in some ways, Pam, it's kind of like things are on hold again with the way things are going with COVID, but dementia never stops, does it?
No, it never stops. Doesn't matter how much money you've got, who you are, what color you are. It doesn't matter. It hits you no matter what. It's like COVID. Just, you're the unlucky one to get it. So, yeah. So we've got a lot to do.
Any final thoughts for today's Streamcast?
Yes, I would like to invite anybody that would like to come and see the progress of what I'm doing. You are more than welcome to come. Please knock on the door, because before we've had people just actually walk in. Knock on the door because it is a residence. And come and see the gym, come and see the pool, come and see all the exciting things that I'm doing here, and get involved. Share the link, share the information. Let's go at this. We can do this as a community. I know we can. We banded together before. Let's do it again. Let's do it again, for sure.
All right, my friend. Well, good luck. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks. We're here on the first and third Thursdays of each month with the Streamcast for Forget Me Not Village. Yep. And until next time, I guess we'll sign off and have more good news for you in a couple of weeks. And again, you can find out more at forgetmenotVillage.org. Send Pam an email at pam@forgetmenotVillage.org. All right, my friend.
Okay.
Talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.